Welcome to the bold analysis. The leaders asking Odinga to run for presidency in 2027 and those prophesizing numerical strength from Nyanza in 2027 are all gaslighting William Samoei Arap Ruto and actually working blindly just to actualize the one-term clarion call, sweeping the streets. I will take the next 20 minutes of this podcast to show you what exactly this means so that you can see why I strongly believe that Mbadi and his battalion are on a mission that is not going to yield anywhere, that's not going to yield any fruit. Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell and like our videos. And thank you very much for supporting this podcast. Thank you very much for subscribing. Subscription is absolutely free. The beauty is when you subscribe to this channel, whenever we publish our videos, you'll be getting notifications. So you will not miss our well-analyzed videos. And here we make it deep and detailed. In this video going viral, the Treasury Cabinet Secretary cum politician, John Mbadi-Wanga, is making an exciting speech how they have put an elaborate plan to mobilize 1.6 million new voters in Nyanza.
Nidi mani milioni cha ni wa muganda duoni amumbaza yakabusia ni wa milioni cha wabru hizo kachagwa nija duo enokanda mwe tipo and we are more than 1 million, we are several million. If anything, the correct statistics continue. The second largest community in this country should be the Luo community. We are not 1 million, we are over 5 million. It is only that we have always been suppressed. No one gives us the vote, no one gives us the ID. When we get the ID and the vote, you will know that we have the voting power. And in 2027, here we come.
I do not dispute the issue of vote suppression. On IDs, it has been a perennial problem, especially in that region. However, at this point, I will still want to ask Mbadi. Raila Odinga has been in the presidential ballot 5 times. The last two ones, 2017 and 2022, were most promising if you leave the 2007 where Odinga won. Why has it not been easy for them even to pull 90% turnout, leave alone suppressed in the sense that they did not come to vote, in the sense that they did not have the IDs, they did not register. The ones that are registered, why haven't they ever received 90% turnout like other regions? I will not belabor that. Curiously, the mobilization for the 1.6 million new voters is not based on what Ruto has done, but to show Rigathi. That is where the politics goes. Somewhere else in Migori, Wanga, the Homa Bay governor, and Mama Ida are telling the people the things that allegedly the things that will excite the president. And after, of course, coming out to support the conclave, is Wanga's stand on how they're standing with William Ruto, unapologetically. But in that speech by Ida-Wanga, there is something she's saying.
All sit together and dialogue in a conclave. And us as the ODM party, we support the dialogue proposal. We will dialogue and we will dialogue and continue to move that forward. And we would also like to say, we have agreed and we have a 10-point agenda, and we have agreed to work together with President William Ruto. And we do not have any apologies. We will support him, we will support the programs of the government so that we can move our country to the next level. And if you are an opposition must have an agenda. The agenda cannot be Ruto must go. Ruto cannot go without an election because we are in a democratic country.
Siasa tulichigi milongo no broad base ana se wacho ni jo Migori ko runjo ndiwa ba wacho nu nyidhoni komie uru weuru go koko no akuni ki angoti monana di nyidhoni komie uru aparo ngat monge wach mar kome nyidhoni en gila Nyawang'aya kata jomoko okoko Nyawang'aya paro no nge gini eri igo koko Homa Bay to gerore giminyalo golo maluku te bikel ni jogi ok no kethre.
And the translation of what Ida is saying in Doluo is, she's asking the broad-based fellows to make sure they reap most from this BBG season. And this is a harvesting season, and is asking those in BBG to harvest some fruits from BBG and take to the people during this season. Mark this season. No one knows of tomorrow. And I want to say, Odinga axis in 2027 is a very tricky axis. It is not one, it is one that if a politician, especially the president who is seeking his second term, wants to bank and coin his presidential bid around Odinga, then that to me looks a failed mission. And let me just show you this, two examples. Mary Massey, a UDA member of parliament from Busia, Teso, was attending an event where they were just fundraising. It was a burial event. Burials, people come from all walks, from different corners. Burial is not just an exclusively family affair. Even if it's family, the family members coming from different places in this country. Immediately, Mary Massey mentioned the name Raila Odinga, the crowd went berserk.
Siwezi nikamaliza kuongea kama sijaongea mambo ya siasa ya national, sababu mimi ni kiongozi wa national. Abonga anito samani yonga kwa. Kila mahali jamii wameanza kujipanga kwa serikali ambao inakuja. Sisi tumejipanga, tujajipanga. Tusipojipanga unajua tutapangwa. Tumekuwa mahali, hata kuna siku tumekuwa na baba Bomet. Watu wameshikana. Baba amepeana ushauri. Halo? Unapokea salamu za baba? Unapokea salamu za Ruto? Nilikuwa nataka niwaletee salamu. Nimekataa baba siku hizi. Nilikuwa nataka nilete salamu na niseme pia tuanze kujipanga polepole kwa serikali ambayo inakuja. Kwa haya machache, wacha nitoe mchango yangu, na mimi nimeleta pole zangu, na mimi sitaweka kaibeshi yangu inaendana kwa familia direct. amekuja na shilingi yangu 10,000 na mimi nataka.
These are the things we are saying. You know, these are the things we are saying. This is what I'm saying. If you are depending on Odinga, the Odinga we have in 2027 is not the Odinga we had in the past. Someone have also shown me these 2 screenshots. Same station, prime time. Odinga interview, 1,000 people watching live. To get the interview, 12,000 people watching live. The two, while Rigathi represents the anti-government voice, Raila Odinga is perceived as pro-GOK voice. And look at this interview. This interview was closely monitored by William Ruto allies and pro-GOK team just to take stock and find a message they can amplify, probably when they get to their rallies. And I saw Pio and I amplifying that message about Odinga, you know, working with William Ruto. That was also the headline story by Nation. You know, it is the Nation team also amplified. The whole interview went for 1 hour plus. So they were looking for what can we amplify? What can we gather here to go and tell the people? Probably to push pro-GOK messaging. And this headline of Nation went well with what Wandai is amplifying here.
Bila kushurutisha na mtu yote, ili Wakenya waunganishwe wawe kitu kimoja, ndio maendeleo ipatikane. Si namna hiyo? Hiyo ndio jambo la muhimu, kwa sababu hii nchi ya Kenya ni kubwa kuliko mtu yote. Nchi ni kubwa kuliko mtu yote. Kwa hivyo huu muungano wa baba na Mheshimiwa Ruto ni muhimu. Profesa Kithure Kindiki akiwa ndani yake. Si namna hiyo? Ili Kenya isonge mbele. Isonge mbele. Jana mlisikia baba akisema ya kwamba yeye atakuwa kwa hiyo serikali ya Mheshimiwa Ruto akiunga mkono mpaka dakika ya mwisho. Baba mwenyewe alisema hivyo. Na ni muhimu sana. Kwa sababu watu wengine wamekuwa wakieneza uvumi na wakieneza fitina, wakimshurutisha baba ya kwamba ajiondoe katika hii serikali, katika hii uhusiano, sijui baba asimame urais tena ndiye apewe kura wakati huu. Hiyo ni porojo, si ndio? Hiyo ni porojo.
But I took some attention on the confusion, the contradiction part that really came out during that interview. I know people didn't pay attention to this.
This red line, because you said there is a red line.
You see, on issue of Sabasaba, we were actually commemorating Sabasaba. And I came out clearly and said I was going to go to Kamkunji to commemorate Sabasaba. Because Sabasaba was about Kamkunji. It was not about just general demonstrations countrywide. Okay? And I said I would go to Kamkunji. Unfortunately, other people actually took actions elsewhere differently. And the situation actually became almost uncontrollable. You remember, I was not even able to go to Kamkunji because the streets were closed by the government. And Sabasaba was about going to Kamkunji to ask the people of Kenya if the country is ready for multipartyism.
Your Excellency, you are contradicting yourself when you say Sabasaba was about Kamukunji. This is why I say so. On 4th July 2023, these are 3 days to Sabasaba of 2023. This is what you said. You were at the SKM command center and you said that the only weapon that we have, this is direct quote, the only weapon that we have in our land is our sovereign power to picket, to protest, to boycott, and to embark on civil disobedience. We begin this on Friday, July the 7th. You went further to say that we invite all our people to prepare to join the Kamukunji in Nairobi and in different other places across the country on Friday. I want to repeat that it is not just in Nairobi. even other centers across the country. July 4th, 2023. 2 years down the line, what has changed?
But that is very specific. I said Kamkunji and also in other centers. In other words, people, wherever they were going to say, this is where we are going to go. This is where we are going to picket. So it must be specific. You must say clearly that we are going to go to this particular place to picket. If you're saying in Nairobi, we say we are going to Kamkunji. That's the only place. So it's not going to be in Kawangware, it's not going to be in Woodley, it's not going to be in Mukuru-Kwanjenga or anywhere else. It's a specific place. And that is where you have the police to be.
The people of Kenya who were taking part in the protest said they would do Sabasaba or take part in the protest, not at Kamkunji, but they said the specific places, Nairobi CBD, and they listed different other places which they were to occupy. Was there anything wrong with that?
Yes, I was just saying, CBD, you go to CBD, basically, you are going to cause a lot of destruction to the business of CBD.
This part was very interesting when he was asked, and you know, that question about Sabasaba was very interesting because it was demanding an answer to the question that everyone else has been asking, what Odinga was up to when he said that people should go to Sabasaba. And of course, he appeared to be opposing the regional Sabasaba protests. In fact, I don't know who still takes Raila to these interviews. Why exactly he still has to be, you know, he still have to be taken to these interviews. It's in my opinion that these guys should leave Mzee to rest. And I said something after AU elections that William Ruto is putting Raila at the center of his 2022 campaigns so that he either goes with him or probably uses him. If he's going down with him, or he uses him to get to his second term, after which he can be dumped and go back to Mount Kenya as he tries to look for 2037 bid. And this comes as a specific push coming from different sectors for Odinga to go and vie for presidency. I am insisting, and I'm saying this, that what is happening about the hula baloo, about the numbers, and those who are making all manner of messages of Odinga going for presidency, they don't mean it. And I understand that it is part of Ruto's strategy. And this is what I want to explain to you here. This is what is disturbing Odinga's camp, who are closely working with William Samoei Arap Ruto. Remember this bid, I realized my MP nowadays is silent. I don't know what happened. The chairman of budget committee, Samatandi. Yeah, my MP had been very ilipoanza alikuwa moto sana. I don't know what happened. Nowadays my MP rarely talks. Him and Oburu Odinga probably they were told to end up pole. So nowadays they're not so vocal, by the way, and I'm not seeing them in most of those events, those empowerment programs, those skewed campaign rallies. This is what is happening. Odinga's traditional strongholds are going. 60%, nearly 60% or 50% of Western is gone. A chunk of the coast is not guaranteed. 100% of Kisii is gone. A significant vote that has been with Odinga since 2013, the camp vote, is clearly shelved out by the exit of Kalonzo Musyoka. And this makes him find it very difficult, even as he is in that comfort zone. So any move to contest for presidency in 2027, mathematically, if you talk to data scientists, people who look at politics from the data point of view. I promise you, before at the end of the week, I'm going to have an interview on the data point of view. What exactly works in the event that this happens? What works? Make sure you keep here for that interview. It is going to be a very interesting interview. You must not miss. Odinga cannot win the presidency. He doesn't have the stocks. The stakes for him, if you crash the numbers, you cannot find him in the top two. Unless another scenario plays in the opposition camp. But he will then go there to try to maintain his gubernatorial and parliamentary numbers. In fact, it is some of these people that are pushing for him to be there for their own survival. There's a second aspect interpretation of the Odinga axis that William Ruto is angling. That the president thought that co-opting the perceived political experts, and they are political, in government under the guise of government positions, that will mean automatically he will inherit Odinga's strongholds. But that has not worked because of the opposition, the elaborate opposition. A significant chunk of that vote has been taken by the opposition figures there. And on that, it will be in the interest of President Ruto for Odinga to throw himself in the presidential ring to complicate the opposition numbers. This kind of breakdown people need to know so that you are wary. And it is in my thinking, I can foresee this, that in any case, Odinga goes to the ring and Ruto goes to the ring and the other team takes more than two to the ring, then in whichever scenario, a runoff would come. And at that point, Odinga would pull another handshake or conclave thing just to make sure that second term is granted. And this is a possibility. And I agree with those who are saying, if NIS is serving the president real figures, then really opposition is controlling a bigger chunk of the masses than the government. The other aspect is Babu Owino. Babu Owino is slowly gaining traction in Nyanza, and you look at his reception in different events. I saw that one in Migori, the event where Wanga and Nani was talking. I saw his reception in Homa Bay, in Kisumu, in Siaya. And he's throwing himself in the Nairobi gubernatorial race. Jalanga was just saying the other day that Babu atasumbua. ODM ikimpea ticket atawin asubuhi. ODM isipompea ticket atasumbua. And with Raila's winning political experience, winning political influence, if he will still want to be a force to reckon with, and the Mbadis of our time in Opi-Wandais are uncomfortable with the emergence of a voice in the name of Babu Owino, they will want that to be delayed, so that Raila's succession doesn't happen now. Because if it happens now, then they're not in it. Probably try to look for a magical shift after 2027 and throw themselves in that train. Thank you.